Hello everyone, welcome to episode 3 of Master the Ukulele. So my name is Riordan. I am a multi-instrumentalist and I am a music teacher here in Kerry in Ireland. Over the course of this series we're going to dive into a whole host of things, from chords to different playing techniques, from strumming patterns to song accompaniment, to really get you going when it comes to starting with playing your ukulele. If you are new to the channel, please consider hitting the subscribe button below the video and click on the bell so that you're notified every time a new video is released on this channel, including new videos in this series, which release every Sunday evening at 8 o'clock Irish time or 8 o'clock GMT. So far, what we've done is we've covered 4 chords in this course. We've covered C, A minor, F, and G. We've also learned how to read chord diagrams, and we've done a very simple song accompaniment. So if this is your first ukulele class, I would definitely recommend checking out episodes 1 and 2 first before you kick off with this episode, which is episode number 3. Links to those 2 episodes are found in the description below this video, and I will add them to a little speech bubble up in one of the top corners here above me. So very quickly, just before we kick off with the rest of this lesson, I'm going to go through the 4 chords that we've just learned, and I'm going to pop the 4 chord diagrams here on the screen with me. So we're going to do a very simple downward stroke. We're going to strum each chord 8 times, and we'll do 2 rounds. So we're going to go C, A minor, F, G, C, A minor, F, G. So starting on a C, we're going to start after 1, 2, 3, and C. Here comes A minor. G, and we go back to C. A minor, F, G, and we're going to finish with 1 C. Okay, well done if you were able to play along with that. So very quickly, if you need a refresher on how to read these chord diagrams, we've got 4 vertical lines which indicate the 4 individual strings on your ukulele. Those lines are crossed horizontally by frets, and the topmost line is this white band here, which is called the nut. So what we can do is we can pop a dot onto a string in the fret that we need for any chord. So for a C, for example, you're going to be placing finger number 3, your 3rd finger, on the 3rd fret of the A string, the string closest to the floor. So for a more in-depth breakdown on how to read these chord diagrams, definitely check out episode 1 first. So today we're going to do another 2 chords that are extremely useful to have in your library of ukulele chords. Those 2 chords are D and E minor. So we're going to kick things off with D. Now D again is another one of those chords that's a little bit tricky initially, but with a little bit of patience and practice, we slowly get there and we'll start to incorporate it into some songs down the line. So I'm going to pop the chord diagram for D onto the screen here, and we're going to get going. So to play a D, you can see that 3 fingers are required, and they're all actually placed within the same fret. They're all placed in the 2nd fret on your instrument. So depending on the size of your hands, mine are quite large. A lot of people will use fingers 1, 2, and 3 on the 3 strings closest to your chest in the 2nd fret. So it looks a bit like this. Again, that top string, the string closest to the floor, has the fingers arched over it so that it can ring and play openly. If, like me, if you have larger hands, what I find more useful is to use fingers 2, 3, and 4. Now again, that little finger, that pinky, is a little bit stubborn at the start, but with a little bit of patience and practice, it does kind of find its own when it comes to fretting. Let's break this thing down. You've got your first finger, finger number 1 on the G string. That's the string closest to your chest in the 2nd fret. Your middle finger, finger number 2, is also in the 2nd fret on the string underneath. And finally, your 3rd finger, or your ring finger, is also placed on the 2nd fret on the E string underneath your middle finger. Now this will start to feel quite crowded. What I found helps is if you can hold the strings or hold the fingers in place and try and lower your wrist. What that does is it just gives you a little bit more space, it offers you a little bit more flexibility, and you end up more on your fingertips. which is quite useful when it comes to playing a D chord because, like I said, there's not a huge amount of real estate up for grabs in here between 3 fingers, but arching your hand and playing with the wrist movement really helps to articulate it. So, played individually, the 4 strings on your ukulele, when you're holding down a D chord, sound like this. Okay, and when we strum, that's D chord. So again, a little bit tricky, but with some time and some practice, we will get there. To break it down quickly, one more time, you've got your 3 fingers, 1, 2, and 3, or if you've got a larger hand, you can use fingers 2, 3, and 4 as an alternative. We're going to place finger number 1 on the 2nd fret of the G string, finger number 2 on the 2nd fret of the C string, and finger number 3 on the 2nd fret of the E string. Press down gently so that the strings are making contact with the steel fret, the band that crisscrosses the neck, and we should have 4 individual tones that sound like this. And strummed as a chord, we'll have a D major chord. Okay, the next chord that we're going to look at today is E minor. So E minor is another very useful chord that crops up in a ton of songs. So I'm going to pop it up on the screen and we're going to dive into that one. So you can see E minor here on the screen beside me. Now this one is a little bit easier than D in that not all of the fingers are placed in the same fret. However, we're going to be moving on up to the 4th fret today with an E minor chord. So let's take it step by step and do each finger individually. Okay, so to start with an E minor chord, we're going to place our index finger, finger number 1, on the 2nd fret of the A string, the string closest to the floor. Our middle finger is going to go to the string above it, the E string, on the 3rd fret, and our 3rd finger, our ring finger, is going to go to the 4th fret on the C string. So altogether it looks like this. And you can see again that the fingers are reaching over so that they're not kind of getting in the way and touching other strings underneath. So we need to always try to maintain that kind of bridge with our fingers so that the strings underneath are not being compromised and touched. So individually, the strings on an E minor chord sound like this. And strummed as a chord, that's our E minor chord. So one more time, just to break it down. E minor, index finger, 2nd fret on the string closest to the ground, the A string. Middle finger is going to go onto the 3rd fret of the E string, the string just above it, and your ring finger, finger number 3, is going to go onto the 4th fret of the string just above that again, the C string. So together they make this kind of little laddery shape, and that's your E minor chord. Okay, so now that we have our 2 new chords, let's practice playing them with a very simple strum. We'll just try a downward strum. So let's start with D. So if you can get your fingers in place for a D chord, we're going to do a count to 4, we're going to play 8 Ds, transition to E minor and play 8 E minors. Here we go. D after 1, 2, 3, 4. D. E minor. Let's go back to D. E minor. Well done if you were able to play along with that example. So now we have 6 chords under our belt. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to practice those 6 chords in order, and we're going to play them twice through. Okay, so we're going to play 8 C's, A minors, F's, G's, D's, and E minors. Okay, so we're going to take our time starting on C. After 1, 2, 3, and C. A minor. F. G. So well done if you were able to play along with that example there. Now, as we're up to 6 chords, things are going to start getting a little bit trickier to remember chords. Don't worry about that. Just take your time, practice your chords, and use your chord charts to kind of help you find your way through them. If you're having difficulty with any of those chords, don't be afraid to go back to episodes 1 and 2. So we've covered C and A minor in depth in episode 1, F and G in episode 2, and now E minor and D here in episode 3. So I'm just going to introduce something new before we go into a strumming pattern in episode 4. So what we can do on our ukulele is we can strum down. That's what we've been doing from the start here with You Are My Sunshine and through all of our kind of chord playing examples. We've been strumming in a downward stroke, so strumming from chest to floor in one direction. What we can also do is we can strum upwards, so we can catch the strings on the way back up. So we can strum down and up. Okay, so I want to play through that last example one more time. We're going to play C, A minor, F, G, D, and E minor. And we're going to be playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And every time there's an and, we're going to strum up. So it's going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, switch. Okay, so there's going to be up to 8 and for each chord. So it's going to be C and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, A minor. But just to add a little bit of difficulty for those of you that wish to take another step up on your ukulele learning journey. So we're going to start on C. We're going to be strumming down and up in this exercise. So we're going to take our time. We're going to start on a C after 1, 2, 3, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 5, 6, 7. Here comes A minor. E minor, and we're going to finish with the C. Very well done to those of you at home who were able to play along with that exercise. If it's tricky, like I say, do not worry, take your time, go back through some steps and just practice. So you can practice strumming with a downward only strum. When you feel like that's under control, try to start implementing a few upward strokes, even if it's just like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2. All of those exercises will be beneficial. Okay, so that's where I'm going to leave you for this lesson. Now, join me on episode 4 when we're going to start using those 6 chords and we're going to start implementing a strum pattern. So we're going to start taking our ukulele playing to the next level by using our 6 chords, C, A minor, F, G, D, and E minor, but we're going to be playing them with a pattern. So the pattern will take our playing from sounding like this to this. Okay, so there is a bit of a step up. However, it is all achievable with step-by-step instruction here on Master the Ukulele. So in preparation for episode 4, I would definitely encourage you to spend some time working on those chords, strumming downwards and upwards, and getting familiar with those chord diagrams. Okay, so that's where we'll leave episode 3. So please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you have any questions, if you would like to see anything demonstrated here on Master the Ukulele, please feel free to pop into the comments below and leave any questions or commentary that you have. So that is it for me and episode 3 of Master the Ukulele. Keep up the practice and I will see you all in episode 4 when we will start strumming our strumming patterns. Take it easy. I will see you next week. Bye now.